Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Coming on in just a few in our Trailblazer segment brought to you by Dominari Financial. Today we're featuring Laura Micetich. She goes by the Iron Giantess all over social media. She's a certified transformation specialist and life coach. Now, after struggling with obesity most of her life and going from over 340 pounds to athlete and wellness coach, Laura now helps others remove their blocks standing in their way to live their greatest life. As a nutritionist, bodybuilding trainer, glute specialist, she has helped hundreds of people create the life that they love. She's here today to chat career, health, and life after extreme weight loss. Welcoming now to the show is the Iron Giantess herself. Welcome to the show, superstar.
Hello. Thanks for having me back on.
Thanks for coming on. Wow, what a journey you have been through. Some road, my darling, some road.
Yeah, I felt like the big transformation was years ago, and over the last few years, it feels like the transformation is now. So,
Is now, yes. So
yes.
let's start when you were a child. Now, as a child, you were given the nickname Iron Giantess, being taller and bigger than all your peers. And of course, your low self-confidence as a result of this manifested into binge eating, leading you to weigh approximately, 320 pounds or even more at your heaviest. When did you decide to make a change, and what was your motivation?
Well, growing up, I hadn't really put it together that binge eating had been my source of safety. It had been how I self-soothed and how I managed anxiety. And I went all through middle school, high school, college, feeling sort of like I just didn't fit in, like I was built different than everyone else. And at the end of college, I got my first major heartbreak. I was in a space where I had given up a career that I had been dreaming about to try to make this relationship work. And I was in a total state of flux. There was no structure. I had no idea what I was going to do with my life. And I realized in that moment, I just wasn't happy. And I was writing my own story. And that's what I always kept going back to, that I was writing my own story. I ended up going to get my teaching degree because I'm really passionate about the way that we're educating children, how we're raising them up. But I also knew that with me not only not being happy, but also not really trusting myself because of the binge eating and the issues that I had, I wasn't going to be the best educator that I could be. And I also just wasn't going to be the best version of myself. So I just, for the first time in my life, because I had struggled with my weight a million times in the past and done crazy diets and weight loss camps and trainers, but I had always gone to extremes. And this was the first time that I just put one foot in front of the other. And it wasn't about losing weight. It was about learning to trust myself and show up every day, regardless of circumstance, regardless of success, whether I was a model or I was 310 pounds instead of 320. I just put one foot in front of the other, and it changed my life and the way that I relate to everything in my life, not just fitness and health.
You are incredible. Now, of course, hardship, when we talk about hardship, is something that you are familiar with. There's lots of loss in your life, lots of struggle. You've confronted your demons. You've changed your lifestyle. You've gained back control of your life, surely. What advice do you have to anyone listening and thinking to themselves that they just can't possibly take control of their situation? They feel stuck and alone. What do you want to say to them?
Well, I have two major notes on that. Number one, most of the people that are struggling with their health, their weight, things like that, are incredibly successful in so many other areas of their life. They're an amazing parent, they're an amazing friend, they go above and beyond for people. And typically, we see that people pleaser sort of mentality in this space. You give everything to everyone else, but you probably are a superstar at your job. You are probably a superstar in your relationship, with your family, with your friends. You are the caretaker. You are competent. You are incredible. You are inspirational. You are disciplined. That is not a characteristic that you lack in this space. This is probably the space that you feel like you're struggling to conquer. But if you looked at your life overall, you have every single tool in place to succeed at this. And this is the easiest space to succeed because the only thing stopping you is yourself. In the rest of the world, there's a bunch of factors, but in this one, it's one foot in front of the other. It is, can I show up every day and keep going? And if you show up to work every day and you put your best foot forward, and you show up in your relationship every day and you put your best foot forward, and you show up for your kids every day and you put your best foot forward, you know how to do this.
Yeah.
Stop fighting yourself. And the other thing I would say is I spent my life using this as a tool to protect myself and cope. And so many people do, even if they haven't confronted it. There's a lot of trauma around our bodies and weight keeping us safe. and keeping us unseen and keeping us protected. So do that work, go back, look at your nervous system and see how you're regulating and see how you're coping, because usually it's tied to this.
That's some great advice. Great advice. Now let's shift to obesity. So the numbers are staggering. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, 2 out of every 5 adult Americans are obese. And furthermore, obesity increases, as we know, the risk of getting over, 13 to 20 different cancers, including breast, pancreas, thyroid, liver cancer, all, of course, linked to obesity. What should people be cutting out of their diet, even as a simple guideline?
Well, your body is not your enemy. Your body is fighting for you and sending you signals to protect you. So the first thing that I usually advise people cut out is a sedentary lifestyle. If you are not moving and you are not walking and you are not, and I'm not talking go to the gym and become a power lifter. I'm not talking join an Olympic team. I'm talking about cutting out the need to come home from a hard day of work and sit your ass on the couch and eat food and not cope with whatever's going on, because it's all tied to that. It's all tied to the way that we're numbing out the rest of the world. So if you're sedentary, cut that out first. And then there are so many debates around what we shouldn't have in our diet, what we should. I've now leaned more towards a clean lifestyle because I'm really listening to my body about the signals that it's sending and what it wants. But I'm also allowing my body to, if it really wants a cheeseburger today, because that is where we're at emotionally and that would feel good and it comes from a good place and love, go for it. But most of the time, a ton of water, a little bit of movement, and some healthier choices around your food that don't come from just shutting the world out are going to change your life. And the other thing I would cut out is the all or nothing mentality that we have. The all or nothing, I need to be snapping my fingers and done with this. Every day that you treat your body a little bit better, you're going to improve your health. So you have the choice between staying where you are. People think you get to stay where you are, but the truth is the longer you're there, the further back you go, the unhealthier you get. As you age, you are going to get more and more unhealthy, even if you do the same thing and weigh the same amount. So instead, take a couple steps forward, work on your health, even if they're not huge jumps, move your body, eat a little better, treat yourself a little kinder.
That's some great advice. Now, all of this has resulted to you in having to deal with a lot of sagging skin because, of course, you've lost a lot of weight. You've transformed your body. You've transformed your look. Gosh darn, you look like a supermodel right now. You're gorgeous and glowing. Sagging skin, though, is a real problem for many facing extreme weight loss. Now, when significant weight loss occurs, it's then hard for the collagen and elastin fibers to, of course, return to their original pre-weight gain state. And when rapid weight loss occurs, of course, the fibers shrink and contract very quickly. And this is what leads to loose or excess skin. Now, of course, one way to get rid of the excess skin is via very costly plastic surgery. How did you go about addressing your sagging skin in your journey?
I think this conversation is not had often, because when you speak to the regular community who's never struggled with loose skin, never struggled with weight loss, they think it is fat loss. They think it's about losing fat. But the truth is, a lot of us who have struggled with our weight our whole lives aren't just rebounding back to getting the elasticity back in our skin. Our skin has been this size and this shape all the way up until this moment in time. So it doesn't have this, it's going to bounce back moment, especially in your mind. You're training and training and training. But what I found in myself and what I find in clients is that once you reach a certain threshold where you're healthy and you're feeling good, if your weight doesn't rebound, sometimes that loose skin can massively contribute to under eating, over restricting, pushing yourself beyond a healthy point so that you can get smaller and smaller, thinking that it is fat. It is usually loose skin. It's important to go speak to a doctor and get that checked out, see what it is, subcutaneous fat. But the other issue around loose skin is that once it's been stretched out, it's like a sponge. So I see with my clients that struggle with eating disorders, struggle with their relationship with food, that they can be in amazing shape and have a piece of pizza or a cheeseburger, and the water hits them and they're up 20, 30 pounds. That's not an easy thing for people to deal with if they already struggle with their relationship with food or with body dysmorphia. So I approached it as, I'm in a place where I know this is a sustainable weight that I can keep up. I also know that to push any further would be incredibly detrimental for my mental and emotional health, as well as my physical health. My physical health is at terrible risk if I get any leaner, any smaller. I've worked my way down to bodybuilding show weight tons of times. That loose skin didn't go anywhere. So I had to have a hard conversation with myself about whether moving forward with removing loose skin was actually me getting to see the results that I wanted to see without having to push to this place that could become incredibly dangerous. And the dream is that you don't care. The dream is that you get there and you're just saying, I accept my loose skin. And that's such a beautiful experience, but it's not an experience for a lot of people. And it's a conversation that needs to be had because we need to be normalizing people making judgments for themselves based on what's best for their mental, emotional, and physical well being and not what everyone else is saying.
Very well said. And it's true. I mean, look, you got to a point where you worked really hard. You got your body to a great place and you were realistic with yourself. And you're not going to go starve yourself and put yourself in harm's way after you've worked so hard to get to that healthy place. So yeah, I totally agree. You have to remove the skin. And of course, my question to you is, was the skin removal surgery painful? And do the results, are they permanent?
So my 2018 tummy tuck was painful. That was because I did have more subcutaneous fat on my body. There was more to remove, but also because I wasn't going into the procedure at bodybuilding show weight. But my last procedure, I'm at 9%. It's basically like moving, like you're just moving a surface layer versus shifting a bunch of things. And so loose skin removal can be incredibly painful, especially if you choose to go the route of liposuction or any sort of contouring or anything like that. This loose skin removal that I had in 2021, I was in pain for a day and a half. Once my drains came out, zero pain. I'm not negating the impact that going under anesthesia and massive trauma to your body has. That is a long-term side effect that you do need to deal with mentally and emotionally. But when it comes to pain level, it hurt. It hurt like hell. Like I got hit by a car and then I was okay. And the impact that it had on my mental well-being and my relationship with food far outweighed any momentary physical pain that I had. And the results are permanent so long as you sustain your lifestyle and
Of
you
course.
are, yes. And sometimes you see people will gain the weight back, which makes your results not sustainable, or they'll lose a bunch more weight and then you're going to have more loose skin. So it's really about finding a healthy weight that you can sustain and that you like, and then moving forward with the procedure.
Amazing. Well, we are out of time. So, lastly, how can people take advantage of your incredible services?
If you head over to my Instagram, my team, we are always posting. All that we want to do is help people change their lives. And this isn't about losing weight. This is about changing your life and making it look exactly like what you want and breaking through the mental barriers that you have around areas that you think you can't succeed in. So if you head to my Instagram, you hop on my stories, you're going to see posts there. You can shoot me a DM, and I promise you that our goal as a team is to make everybody who feels like they're built a little bit different feel like they have a safe space to truly become their greatest selves.
You are amazing. God bless you, my darling. Thank you so much for coming on. You're full of knowledge. You're a breath of fresh air. And I'm so, so proud of how far you've come.
Thank you for having me on. I always love it. I'll be back anytime you need me.
You got it. Guys, you definitely have to check her out. That was our Trailblazer segment brought to you by Dominari Financial. And that was the incredible Laura Micetich. She goes by the Iron Giantess all over social media. You could head directly on the gram and check her out at the Iron Giantess. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.